Wednesday update on Mismatched 8 December 2021. Shaurya apologizing to Enoki for every wrong. He says, I have told hurtful things to you, I am sorry. She asks, are you saying it from heart? He says, yes, I don't say anything that's not from heart. She says, it means you felt so and told that from heart. He says, no, I was just irritated. She says, you are apologizing now out of guilt. He says, no. She asks, why were you so angry? My life can run without your sorry. He says, you should have not left SIAC knowing I am so rude. She says, I heard good praise about you. He says, I am not a bad person. You think I will leave any girl alone in the riots, helplessly. She says, you did that. He holds her and asks, what do you know? You weren't conscious. Who saved you from fire? Who took you to the jeep by lifting you? You don't know anything. You was trying to talk to you. I want to know. Who took you to the hospital? You don't know. Ask Ahir. He can tell you who was it, who was outside ICU without having any food. He cries. She asks, did you save my life? She says, but you. He says, I say bad things. You scold me. What about when I talk good things? It's your wish, do anything you want. Don't give me guilt that I ruined someone's career. Think of this as a reward for honesty or a punishment for my mistake. But please return to Chandigarh, change your decision. You deserve SIAC. SIAC deserves you. I know you are brilliant. No one will tell you anything. You left your marriage and Vineet's house for SIAC. You can't leave SIAC. Don't do anything for anyone, just for your dreams. She looks at him. Ahir drops Astha. He says, Enoki didn't reach till now. She says, maybe they are coming from other route. Ahir gives her bags. She thanks him. She asks him to have tea. He says, I like tea. I can't miss the tea. Shaurya says, you still want to go back to Kapurthala, right? Come, I will drop you. Astha comes home. She gets flowers from San. She reads his note and smiles. Ahir asks her to come. Astha says, I will go where I want. I have decided to go back to Chandigarh. Shaurya asks, really? I mean, thanks. Joe. Tara plays. Devi plans a family dinner. Gayatri asks Alec to make calls later. Astha calls Enoki and asks, when are you coming home? Enoki says, I am going back to Chandigarh. Astha says, I am so happy for you. How are you going? Are you with Shaurya? Enoki says yes. Shaurya says, Ahir can get your bags. Astha says, Ahir will get your bags. But did you think, where will you stay now? At Babli's house. Enoki says no. Shaurya says, you can stay in hotel. Enoki says, I don't have so much money. Shaurya says, She says, I don't want any favor. He says, stay in Astha's flat. She says, I was staying there for Astha's sake. He says, fine. Stay in Saberwell house. She says, never ever. Your entire family hates me. He says, no. Never say never. Maybe you have to stay there forever. She says, I will better stay on roads. He says, we will try to find a way. Astha asks, hostel or PG? Enoki says, all rooms are booked. Shaurya says, you will get a room. Come, we will see. Astha wishes her all the best. Ahir says it's imp for Enoki to stay in Chandigarh for studies and this case. Devi says, my wish turned true today. She calls San. San is on the way. He hears a song. He doesn't take her call. She calls Shaurya. She asks, when will you come home? He says, I am on the way. She says, I planned a family dinner. Come for dinner on time. He says, okay. I am coming. She asks, where are you? He says, I am reaching Chandigarh. She says, you would have gone to Patiala. He says, I will talk later. He drives. He sees Enoki and thinks this silence after patch up is not good. I am afraid to say anything that starts a fight. He plays songs. Saj me. Ok. Main Yahan Hoon, plays. She looks at him. Devi thinks San is nowhere, even Shaurya didn't come. Enoki saying we were traveling in the train at the same time, thanks for saving my life in the riots. Shaurya says it wasn't a favor. She thanks him for saving her from goons and from rustication. He says I would do that for any student. She says whatever I did was for. He says for Astha, we will need some time, aren't you feeling hungry? She says yes, I want to reach Chandigarh soon. He says we will have some food. She says it will be time waste. He asks her to have some snacks. She asks protein bar. He says yes, it's my interesting food. She thanks him. He checks and says we are at some place where there is no network, we took a wrong turn. She says not us, you took a wrong turn, people go to Chandigarh without using the app. He thinks I have to control this. San comes home and gives a bouquet to Astha. She asks what's all this? He says I try to start afresh with you. She says we can start from where we left. He says we can start from the beginning. Enoki says we came at the same point. Ask someone to get help, don't tell anyone that you are Shaurya, no one will judge you. He says we will try once again. He thinks she didn't ask me and finished the protein bar. Astha says we have moved on now. San says yes, we can go ahead. Divorce is just a paper, it doesn't end relations. I had paid a debt, now I feel at peace. I want to stay free and happy. She says I have stopped thinking so. He says we can be friends. Can I have dinner with my friends? I got your fav Chinese with me, don't worry. She cries. Kitty says we are not playing any games, everyone enjoys a lot. Bebo says we will play a game. They play a Bollywood guessing game. Bebo and Anmol have a chat. Shaurya says there is no road sign, we need to get petrol. She says you said not every trip should be adventurous. He says, sorry to be rude. She says don't say sorry many times. He says don't call me sir. He thinks she forgot. San and Astha have a talk. Tej says San and Shaurya didn't come. Devi says they will not forget to come home. He says tell me if they come home. He goes. Shaurya says don't call me Professor. Enoki says fine, we will think of something to use outside the college, we won't meet often, is PS fine, Professor Shaurya. He says anything will do then sir, don't threaten me again. That you will leave the college, I am serious. I don't want you to leave SIAC, I want you to complete your education. I think you have a great chance, promise me, you won't leave your education. She says you promise me, you won't say such things to anyone in the world. Astha says, I want to ask you something about Shaurya. Why is he single? San says he doesn't like any girl. He was getting engaged to Shagan but it didn't happen. Astha says he started liking Enoki. San asks what, it's not true. He says he was behaving strange. I am seeing him since few days, he came after us to stop Enoki. He says it's his guilt, I know Shaurya, he is my son, he doesn't like strong independent women, he has an image of his wife, Enoki doesn't fit there, she is like you, he won't like anyone who is like his mum. Astha gets sad. Alec asks where is Shaurya. Devi asks him to have patience, if Shaurya said he will come, then he will come. He says he is giving you many surprises. Shaurya promises. He asks Enoki to find a different word. Astha says it's love, it's not maths, it's the beauty of love. San says Shaurya can't love Enoki, Enoki can't fall for Shaurya. Did you hear anything good from her side about him? She says complaints also have. Love. I feel Enoki is also feeling for Shaurya. Maybe she doesn't know. We explained her not to leave Chandigarh. She didn't listen. She had listened to Shaurya. San says maybe she agreed. Because we also told so, this can't happen. She says no, she took this decision by her heart. San says I don't want them to have any relation. I don't want the same thing to happen with Enoki. Shaurya isn't like me. Shaurya stops the car. He says keep the car locked. She says sir. P.S. Leave your ego and anger here. They smile. Kanchan and Gayatri have a talk about Devi. Gayatri says San and Shaurya didn't come. Call Shaurya and ask where is he. Kanchan says maybe Enoki refused to forgive him. Devi asks what. Shaurya went to apologize to Enoki.